has asked himself at one point or another in his life, why don't I have a girlfriend? Most men will resolve to blame themselves. Am I too fat? Am I just boring? Maybe it's my opening lines. That's it. Or maybe I'm just all around unattractive. But I choose not to blame myself. It's not my fault that I don't have a girlfriend. Rather, it's simple probability. Now, what I'm going to do for you this morning is explain to you in statistical terms why it's not unlikely that I don't have a girlfriend. Now, you might be saying that my standards are too high, but really they're not. I'm just looking for someone who's maybe beautiful. And by beauty, I'm referring to both inner and outer beauty, of course. Nothing ridiculous. I'm not looking for a supermodel here. Maybe someone just a little bit above average. Same thing for intelligence. I'm looking for a girl who's intelligent. I'm not looking for someone who's a charter member of Mensa by any means, but definitely someone who's going to be able to carry on an insightful and witty conversation. She should be about my age, give or take 4 years. So, with that being said, let's start from the beginning. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, in the year 2000, there were about 5,529,000,000 people on the planet. We're going to have to start with the planet Earth. I'm sure that maybe there is life elsewhere in the universe, but the probability of me meeting a hottie from Venus really isn't that statistically relevant today. Of the people on Earth, there are approximately 2,941,000,000 females. I am looking exclusively for female companionship here. Of those, 605 million are in developed countries. Now, I'm not really opposed to enjoying a relationship with someone from Ghana or another undeveloped country, but looking at things probabilistically, I will likely spend my entire life living and working in the United States, Europe, and Australia. The odds of me meeting a girl in Ghana, for example, are really not that relevant. Now, she also should be about my age, plus or minus 4 years. Again, interpolating the statistical data, that leaves us with about 65 million people. Not too bad. And that brings us now to beauty. Now, beauty is a very subjective term, and like I said, she should just be a little bit above average. So what we're going to do is assume that beauty is distributed as a bell curve. I'm sure everyone at some point or another has seen a bell curve. And what I'm looking for here is 2 standard deviations above the mean. That is, 2 notches above average as far as beauty goes. So that being said, again, looking at our statistical data, for her to be 2 standard deviations above the mean in beauty, we now have a dating pool of about 1.4 million people. Not too bad. Seems like a lot so far. The other criteria to analyze is intelligence. She must be smart. Now, I'm not as picky with smartness, or intelligence rather, as I would be for beauty. So she doesn't need to be 2 standard deviations above the mean. What I'm looking for here is really just 1 standard deviation above the mean. That's fine. That should be enough for her to be just of above average intelligence, which means so she should be able to then carry on an above average conversation. Applying that to the previous figure, we now have a remainder of 236,000 women to choose from. Now, some other things that I didn't specify in my criteria: she should probably be available. That is, she should probably not be married, and she should probably not have a boyfriend. This is just a matter of my own self-preservation here. From my own empirical evidence, what I've seen out there in the field, about half of women are not available. I have a boyfriend. That seems like a very common excuse these days. So we can just go ahead and slice off 50% of that dating pool there, and we're now left with 118,027 women. Now, of course, for any relationship to work, she might actually have to like me. So what I'm assuming then is, for her to like me, I would have to probably be about 1 standard deviation above her idea of what is average, because no girl wants to settle for average. She wants something that stands out, a little sparkle, if you will. So if we were to take that into consideration, we're now looking at a dating pool of possibly 18,726 women. Now these are 18,726 ideal relationships that I could potentially be in. They're going to like me, and I'm really going to like them. They are the perfect women. That sure seems like a lot. 18,700 possible perfect matches for me. Well, let's put that into perspective. If I were to go on a blind date with a new girl every single week, it would take me 3,493 weeks to meet one of those 18,000 people. That's roughly 67 years of blind dating every week with a new person. Assuming I'm to live to be in my 80s, which is somewhat reasonable for someone born in the early 1980s. 67 years of dating to find one person doesn't seem like it's really going to happen. In fact, by the time I find that one person over those 67 years of blind dates, I'll probably be dead. And for that matter, she'll probably be dead too. Mr. Toastmaster.
Gentlemen, again, please take a couple of minutes and give Mr. Jordan the benefit of your thoughts.